YouTube with the Boston Celtics winning their first NBA title since 2008 and their two superstar wings Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown being young players in their mid to late 20s. A lot of people have asked the question, and I'm going to attempt to answer it in this video. Can this Boston Celtics team become a dynasty in the NBA? Let's talk about it, folks. So with the Boston Celtics winning the 2024 NBA Finals in dominant fashion, the likes we haven't seen since maybe the 2017 Golden State Warriors, this is clearly one of the best NBA teams in recent memory, and maybe even of all time, if I dare say. We're going to get into their offseason situation. We're going to get into what hurdles they could face, trying to become a dynasty. And by dynasty, I should define, I basically mean a team that wins 3 championships within 5 years. So obviously there's been, few teams throughout NBA history that have achieved this. This is one of the hardest things you can do in all of sports, probably the hardest. And it is really the ultimate goal of basically every franchise, right? People say, oh, the ultimate goal is to win a championship, but really it's to win multiple championships within a short window for most teams, and the Celtics are no exception. Only the difference is with the Celtics, they actually have a really legitimate chance to do this. So to answer the question, can the Boston Celtics become a dynasty, or will they? I would answer that with another question: why not? I mean, if we just look through the contract situation on the Celtics right now, right? So the starting 5 of Jrue Holiday, Derrick White, Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kristaps Porzingis, probably the best starting 5 I've seen in the NBA. Again, probably since the 2018 or 2017 Warriors, maybe even better and more versatile than that team. They are all going to be returning to the Celtics next season, right? And Jayson Tatum set to get a max extension, probably the richest contract in NBA history to follow his, finals MVP teammate Jaylen Brown in that regard. It'll be upwards of $300 million for sure for Jayson Tatum. The Celtics did extend Jrue Holiday through the 2027 season with a player option in 2028. So Jrue Holiday, the big addition to the Celtics, one of them last season, is returning. He is 34, and that is a long contract for a 34-year-old, but Jrue Holiday has aged pretty gracefully, I would say. Kristaps Porzingis, another guy who obviously was an X factor for this team, and it's crazy to even think that the Celtics did all of this with him not even being healthy in the playoffs for most of it, and he will be returning until 2026. Like I said, Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown are going to be under contract for a long period of time here in the Celtics organization, you would imagine. We know Jaylen Brown is going to be, and I would imagine they will max out Tatum. Derrick White is really the only one of these players who's going to need a contract extension that might actually not get one, because Derrick White's contract with the Celtics will expire after next season, and with all of these, big contracts on their books for these other guys, you would think maybe they would be a little bit apprehensive to give Derrick White such a big extension. We'll have to see about that, because that could complicate their future in terms of who they're able to sign moving forward. But Derrick White returning for 2025 as well. So the starting 5 is returning in 2025. The only 2 needing extensions are Jayson Tatum and Derrick White for 2026, and like I said, Jayson Tatum will undoubtedly get one. The other players on the roster you have under contract next season are Al Horford, who will be expiring after 2025. You have to think maybe he'll retire after that season. He's getting really super old, but even with that, he's still playing at a pretty high level as a role player in this league at the age of 38. So I have to see what happens there, but he is under contract next season and he will be expiring. Peyton Pritchard under contract with the Celtics till 2028. O'Shea Brissett, the only player with a 2025 player option, so he could either opt in or out and be on the Celtics or not next season. We'll have to see about that. You have 3 players with team options. Those are Jaden Springer, Sam Hauser, and Nemes Keita. I hope I said that right. Hope I didn't butcher that. He is the 3rd big man for the Celtics, and Jordan Walsh will be under contract until 2026. So to answer the question again, I think the Celtics have one of the best chances of a dynasty that any team's ever going to have for a dynasty, right? All of their core players are returning next season. All of their players other than Derrick White are set to be under contract with this team for at least 2 more years. And really, it doesn't look like they're going to lose anybody big this offseason, right? A lot of teams that when they win a championship, they end up losing a lot of depth in the following offseason. That is not going to be the case for the Celtics. They could certainly improve on the margins with some veteran minimum contracts as they are over the second apron. So unless something changes financially for the Celtics, they will have to be relegated to veteran minimum contracts. But again, this is a team that is rich beyond belief in terms of talent, right? Not only that, these are players that are still in their prime for the most part. You could argue Jrue Holiday, but he's basically still in his prime defensively, and that's really all that matters for the Celtics, right? I think unless the Celtics beat the Celtics, they're going to be a dynasty. I mean, the Eastern Conference is going to get a lot better next season, so we'll have to see how that goes, but they are clearly the favorite going into next season to win it all again, right? Not even just in Vegas, but I think in the minds of most fans, right? It's going to be a mission to beat the Celtics. They're going to be the team to beat. compete next season, and they have earned that respect across the league as they dominated their way to a finals in a fashion we haven't seen in quite some time. So like I said, I think with the returning, core five and also Al Horford, Peyton Pritchard, basically all these rotation guys in the playoffs are all coming back. And then you could maybe even get some, persuade some veteran minimum players to come and join the Celtics because, who doesn't want to join a team like that in the offseason, right? You might not get a ton of playing time for a veteran minimum, right? But you could definitely kind of sign your way to a potential ring, right? So I think a lot of veteran minimum guys are going to want to come to Boston next season, especially after, the way they performed and just to, be a part of a great basketball team. We'll get to their draft picks in a minute, but, I keep repeating this, but it's true. I think the Celtics have as good of a chance as anyone has had since the Warriors in terms of being a potential dynasty in this league. Now, the Eastern Conference will pose a threat, next season a little bit more. I think the Eastern Conference was, for the most part, hobbled in the playoffs this season. They kind of lucked out, the Celtics, with Jimmy Butler's injury, with Giannis Antetokounmpo's injury, with Joel Embiid's injury, with, the Knicks being, not 100%, right? So I think those teams will definitely improve, right? And then you'll have some sleepers in terms of the Indiana Pacers again and teams like that. Everyone's going to get better, right? And the Celtics are, for the most part, locked into what they have, but the problem for the East is what they have is better than anyone else. So while I do think the East will get better, it is going to be the Celtics East once again this season, and everybody that wants to make it to the finals and has championship aspirations is going to have to go through Boston, and it's not going to be easy. Now, as far as Boston's draft situation, right, they actually, for a team that has so much talent and has, basically traded for so much talent, this team still has a ton of draft picks somehow. I mean, in 2024, they have their own pick, which will be the 30th overall pick in this upcoming draft, which at the time of recording this video is just tomorrow. They also have Dallas's second round pick this season. In 2025, they have their own first round pick, and they have a acquired second round pick from a different team. It could be Washington, Golden State, Dallas, or Detroit's second round pick. In 2026, they have their own first round pick. They have another acquired second round pick. It could be a bunch of teams again. 2027, they have their own first. Portland or New Orleans' second round pick. And 2028 and 2029, they actually don't have any draft picks those seasons, but 2030, they have both of their own picks. So surprisingly, for a team that has so much talent, has just won a championship, has acquired a bunch of talent through trades. You think about Derrick White, you think about Jrue Holiday, and you think about Kristaps Porzingis. This team is loaded with picks. They have almost all of their own picks moving forward, right? So the Celtics really are in a position that you covet as an NBA franchise, right? They have, basically all the cards in their hands, right? To be able to control their own destiny, right? So they're going to have to beat themselves or make, a really bad decision in the offseason, one of these years, or they're going to have to, get unlucky with injuries or something for them to be able to not be in the hunt for another championship, right? And when I say in the hunt, I mean basically to be favorites, right? We'll have to see how next year plays out. We kind of thought something similar about Denver, but again, Denver lost a lot of talent in the offseason. You remember Bruce Brown, Jeff Green, guys like that, they left in free agency, and that is what happens with a lot of championship teams. That's why it's so hard to repeat. But the Celtics have, again, basically their 7 rotation players all returning next season, and again, they have the ability to improve on the margins through this year's draft with the 30th overall pick and that second round pick they have, or they have the option to get some veteran minimums and kind of fill out the roster that way. I think their core is pretty much all they're going to need moving forward. I mean, these guys are still really great, so if they don't end up getting another rotation player that's ready to compete right now, I think at the end of the day, it isn't that consequential because all of your guys are coming back. So it'll be interesting. I think one of the bigger things to note is the Derrick White situation. I mean, if they don't extend him next season, which again, you extended Jrue Holiday, you're gonna have to extend Kristaps Porzingis maybe after next season as well. So that could be an interesting thing to note. But eventually, this team is going to not look the same as it did before. But we know that Jaylen Brown and again, 99% sure Jayson Tatum are going to be on that team for the next 5+ years or so under contract. So again, this is not going to be a team that's going anywhere, right? As far as anyone can predict, this is the core and this is the team moving forward for quite some time. It's going to be at least 3 years, excluding Derrick White potentially. So, again, this is a situation where if you're Boston, you got to feel really good about your odds next season. You have the best odds. I'm not even gonna, there's no question about it. No one is even really that close either to me. I think there are some teams that can make some noise in the East, the Sixers, the Knicks, the Bucks with a healthy Giannis next season, and the Miami Heat as well. I forgot to mention, those are the teams you're gonna have to watch out for. Cleveland as well with a new head coach. There's a lot going on in the East. Maybe Orlando gets some, big time free agents and kind of improves their situation. We'll have to see what happens. But Boston, I'm not envious of anybody in the East right now that isn't Boston. Basically, winning that Eastern Conference is almost like, a championship in itself. If you can get past Boston. So we'll have to see what happens, man. I guess maybe the best shot would be the Miami Heat. They seem to just beat them every time regardless. The Celtics really have issues with the healthy Heat team, so we'll have to see how that happens. But, you know, make sure you guys, if you have any input on this situation, do you think it's possible? Let me know down in the comment section, right? Do you kind of agree with the stuff I said in this video? I'm kind of just trying to lay out, you know, everything that's definite moving forward with the contracts, the draft picks, right? We'll have to see how everything plays out. You know, there's always unknowns in the NBA. Nothing is certain. Some things are not as, you know, cut and dry as it looks. Maybe this is one of those things. Maybe if you guys know something I don't, or, you know, have something to add to this, I guess, discussion, make sure you let me know down in the comments. It would really be appreciated. If you guys, you know, did enjoy this video, make sure you guys drop a like. It really helps out the channel, helps out the video, helps new people find the video, and we upload content just like this every single day on the channel. So if you guys don't want to miss more content just like this, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, man. It would really help me out, and it means a lot. I'm a passionate basketball fan. I love the game of basketball. I love the NBA. I want to share all the, you know, fun stuff about it with you guys every day on the channel. So all things NBA every day here on this Dehave channel. And other than that, I'll catch you guys in the next one. This is your boy Dehave, and as always, peace.